let's get into Diddy. Did you guys know that Diddy was actually presented with a plea deal but decided not to take it? We can't really assess if this was a good move or not, but we do know that if Diddy was convicted of all of these charges, the plea deal would have been less prison time than these charges will be. So Diddy is willing to go and risk it. And I'm not saying if it was a good choice or not for Diddy's side. I mean, technically I'm not. I can't even imagine being on their side right now trying to deal with this. I mean, A$AP Rocky, he said no to a plea deal and then he ended up winning his case. Granted, his court hearing was much different than Diddy's is. I mean, his old friend said that he had shot him in the hand and A$AP said he did not, and he was proven not guilty. But Diddy was seen in court on Thursday and he was seen smiling and in good spirits. He has pled not guilty to all 5 charges he's facing: 2 counts of trafficking, 2 counts of transportation to do inappropriate things, and another count of racketeering. So trial is coming and we need people to sit in that courtroom and help make a decision. So we need the jury. I mean, I have no idea how they are finding a jury to go and join this trial because everyone knows about this case, right? I mean, comment below. Do you know anyone in your life, like a grandparent, an uncle, who would have literally no idea that this is going on? And I don't think they have to have no idea what's going on. They can have an idea, they just can't have an opinion. The judge hinted to the size of the potential jury pool and the length of the questionnaire each individual has to fill out. Judge Aaron made a remark comparing the size of the list of prospective jurors that both sides will question on the stand and the questionnaire of the people and places in the case. Jury selection is expected to take several days. Diddy himself arrived at the courthouse full of gray hair and a great beard. Oh wow, wearing formal clothing. I do think prison unfortunately ages you really quickly. Like, girlies out there, don't go to jail, don't go to prison, you'll age quick. And it's sad. I mean, is it sad? I mean, they committed the crime, so yeah, they should be in jail. But I mean, some of our prison systems, the way they are locking them up, like, the dogs are locked up better than some of these people are. Now, another interesting part of this case is that none of the jury will be sequestered. So they can go home every day, but they can't talk about the case, which scares me because imagine if I mean, this sounds like a movie, but imagine one of the jury members clearly was going to vote against Diddy and then they went home one day and something bad happened to them and it conveniently helped out this case. I don't know. That scares me. I almost would want them to put me in a hotel with security, please, but this is going to be a long trial and people can't leave their lives that quickly.
The first day of jury selection has concluded in Sean Diddy Combs' and racketeering conspiracy trial. So far, 19 jurors have been qualified. The magic number here is 45 because once the panel reaches that number, the prosecutions and Combs' defense lawyers will use their strikes to get this group down to 12 jurors and a number of alternates. Here's what we know about those who have qualified so far. 2 women have said that they have been assaulted decades ago in the past. They were allowed to continue on. And another woman who said that she had once been arrested for shoplifting for stealing a wand from Harry Potter's world at Universal Studios, also in that panel. Several jurors were dismissed, including one who had seen that hotel surveillance video. She had called it damning evidence, and for that reason, the judge had excused her from the panel.
There's nothing physically stopping the Diddy jurors from going home and watching the news, but in the questionnaire, they ask the jury to avoid all media coverage and to not go on the internet or social media in regard to this case. And of course, you can't talk to anyone about it, co-workers, friends, family. And, I would be the worst jury because how do you not tell anybody? I would at least have to tell, my boyfriend, right? Comment below, do you think you could actually not tell anyone? Because I couldn't do it. I'm a talker. That's why I'm over here doing this. Now, I have a fear that when we get into that courtroom and Diddy's lawyers start opening up their, in my opinion, lying mouths, we're going to hear this excuse that Diddy, he lacked the mental capacity to commit these crimes. Really? It's almost like saying this isn't the case, but he has dementia. He didn't know what he was doing, or he's so manic in the mind that he can't be held responsible because he was just mentally ill. If you are mentally incapacitated, you're not running a corporation with really intricate ways to trap and harm people. The feds who are suing Diddy think that this is a waste of time, but Diddy's team even has the doctor lined up ready to testify on oath. He's a Columbia professor, and honestly, it seems like he is just trying to get clout, in my opinion. Like, why insert yourself here? He wants to testify for Diddy, saying the mental condition bearing on the issue of guilt. So I guess he has no capacity of feeling guilt. Is that what we're dealing with here? That sounds even more evil. I'm just kidding. They're talking in respect to the actual decision, like guilty or not guilty. The detail of his condition is redacted throughout the documents, but there are some clues, including a bit about Diddy's drinking and drugging. So essentially saying that he drank too much and did too many drugs, that it's affected his memory or his cognitive function. The doctor is going to potentially testify that this is evidence that Diddy, using these drugs and drinking, he just wasn't able to control his behavior. No one could do that in that kind of state. What's interesting is that the federal indictment accuses Diddy of drugging his victims into compliance with the freak-offs. But now it's a question of whether Diddy himself was a victim in his own freak-offs. Let's get into Lady Gaga. Now, Lady Gaga had one of the most amazing performances to 2.5 million people. I can't even imagine. I can't imagine. My chest has started to tighten up right now. 2.5 million on a beach. People were climbing the trees. I will stay home. But shout out to everyone in Brazil who got to go and enjoy this free Lady Gaga concert. And thank God everyone is okay, because 2 out of that 2.5 million were arrested in connection to alleged bomb threat at Lady Gaga's concert. A man and a teenager were arrested before the singer's concert began over an alleged plot to target the LGBT community in Brazil with explosives, which I've never been to Brazil. I would love to, but I also don't know if it's safe for people who are LGBT. So I try to avoid anywhere that's not safe for that, because I'm not trying to be unalived. Now, Lady Gaga had no idea that this was going down, which is probably good for her, because it kept her her mind clear, especially before that kind of show. Gaga performed to the biggest crowd to date, 2.5 million people who showed up on the beach. My question is, how are the people on the ocean side? Is there a little bit of a wall between the ocean? Because it looks like it goes right up to the sand. And I was like, I'm sure there's people determined enough that they'll be standing in the ocean just to watch her. And look at that crowd. Yeah, okay, so they must have maybe barriers over by the ocean, because I don't see anyone swimming. But this is special. Aw. The pair were arrested after trying to recruit other people at the concert to carry out the coordinated attacks with homemade Not the homemade You guys are too determined. You need to go care about something else. Go care about yourself. Because to go and make some homemade explosives to go take to Lady Gaga's concert, you need a hobby. Touch some grass. The leader of the group was arrested on illegal weapons possession charges and inappropriate. We're going to blur this screenshot, but let's say he just has imagery and things of people who are underage. Yeah, we'll stop it there. Underage. Okay. I'm not trying to get this video in trouble. Let's get into James Charles. Now, honestly, sisters, I did not anticipate talking about Sister James here, but I just have to, because I know way too much about the situation involving Kayla Malik, who she's a TikToker influencer. She's got several million on all the platforms. She had a relationship with this guy, Evan Johnson, who did some really horrible things to her. I'm talking beating her up, I believe almost broke her jaw. A terribly harmful man. Kayla told her friend James Charles about this, and as soon as he learned that they were no longer an item, he started paying for Evan to go fly out to LA to go and sleep with him, because James Charles has a type: straight, tall, skinny, white, maybe a little muscle. Actually, no, he likes him skinny because he likes him young. And Evan is really young. I mean, not really young. He's not a minor, but he's still a kid. He's 21 years old, and James Charles preyed on him, despite knowing that he was harmful to Kayla. Now, recently, Zach Sellers, one of Evan's friends, did an interview with Be Better, and during this interview, he pretty much exposed the relationship that Evan had with James Charles, which looked to be inappropriate, if you know what I mean. It was sexual.
Earlier this month, this account, which is run by Zach, a friend of Evan's, was dropping receipts as to what Evan had been saying about Kayla. Zach posted a ton of videos with Evan downplaying everything and saying that Kayla was basically exaggerating. He is now the keeper of all Evan's secrets, which he is airing out, including name dropping that James Charles had a relationship with Evan and allegedly they were sleeping together. He's not able to talk about the situation between Kayla and Evan because obviously it's going to court, but he does get into everything else, especially the James Charles drama.
Evan is currently dealing with legal charges because of what he had put Kayla through. Thank God the justice system is actually working for once, but we still are waiting for the court date to come about. I think it will be within the next week, from according to Kayla's TikTok. She's so ready to speak, but she can't yet until after court. This report writes that on April 30th, 2025, Michaela posted a video alleging that James Charles is sleeping with Evan Johnson, saying the one that broke Kayla Malik's jaw. Now that video went viral with over 24 million views. As I mentioned earlier, Be Better Company, which is a honey company who loves to get into the drama. I appreciate it. He did an interview with Evan's friend Zach, and this is where we got some of the dirty details, probably the worst of them all.
They were in communication every single day. The only person he had after losing Kayla that he felt that he would be able to stay in the industry was James Charles. So he had to keep James Charles as close to him as possible.
To go from Kayla to James is crazy. Hi, sisters.
But back to the next car time, there was a message back that James had sent to Evan and says, I have a big surprise for you when you get home. We get back and little did James know that I actually went home with Evan. And when we get to Evan's house and in his room, Evan message him. They were messaging the whole time anyways.
Oh, weird. So they were all hanging out and then they get home and James is kind of under the impression that Evan is alone.
And he lets James know, hey, I'm 5 minutes away from home. Okay, so letting James know, get ready and stuff. Evan takes a picture of himself and is obviously him in his room. And the next picture was James bent over on his bed with his ass up in the air. There was one time that...
Oh, he was is that down dog? He was down dogging it.
Evan was driving and he's like, Zach, can you text James back? And the message I had to send back to James was, I can't wait to see you. But James was very, very serious. James started the friendship as, I'm here for you. I've been through the same kind of things.
That is the worst part, because if he entered this friendship situationship with Evan under the pretense of oh, you're a victim here. And I've been victimized too. Let me help you. It just shows you that he did understand what Evan had done to Kayla, and he's
to give you advice. Listen to me.
There were some initial messages which we can put on the screen. James said, hello, I'm just now seeing these. I'm absolutely not on his side and would really, really appreciate it if you would leave me out of this. I only ever spoke to him because he manipulated me into thinking his situation was similar to what I went through. And he says it was a really personal and sensitive topic that I had empathy for. I felt disgusting and awful, and I've stopped responding to him altogether. And from speaking to Kayla, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, there was a situation where James Charles had wanted Evan Johnson and Kayla Malik to do a promotional material for his painted company for Valentine's Day. That's obviously a little bit creepy, because knowing that the entire time he was interacting with them, he wanted Kayla out of the picture, and he's really the one that wanted Evan. James had reached out to Kayla and said something along the lines of, are we still good to do this Valentine's Day project?
That is interesting to have a straight friend, a straight girlfriend, and then try to plot or mentally prepare yourself for one day,
and Kayla said,
on
so
him.
Funny, actually, we literally just broke up yesterday. Evan did some of the worst things a human being could ever do to someone to me, abused me, explained the situation, and James
came back after she said that and was like, can I have him now?
Now, because Zach went all the way up to Canada to do an interview with Be Better and to expose everything, he's feeling a little bit of the pressures. I mean, James Charles has an empire. He's got money. So if you're going to talk about him, be prepared to talk to him and his team.
My modeling agency received a crazy, insane email. Let's just say this email is from James Charles's team. They are now going after my career that I have worked so hard for just because I am speaking the absolute truth. They are now trying to silence me completely. They do not want me to speak another word about the situation. So it said, apologies for the Friday evening email. My firm represents James Charles Dickinson, and I would love to have a frank discussion with you at your earliest convenience regarding your client, Zach Sellers. Is this not insane to you guys? James, what are you doing, bro? Like, you know what you did and you know what I'm doing. It's speaking facts.
Thank you for watching this clip from the Let's Get Into It podcast. To view the full episode, visit the link listed below.